when I put this company together 19 years ago, that it would be the commercial buyer that would break the system. And I think I might be wrong on that. I think it actually could be the retail buyer that could break the system, because I think the banks know pretty well what the commercials need, over time, because they could see the growth in the business. They can see how many computers are needed. They can see how many cell phones, how many automobiles. They know all that stuff. They say they could run their numbers, and they kind of know, okay, this is what we need to supply industry over this given amount of time. What they don't know is what the retail investor is going to do. And I think that's what Reddit and this whole Robinhood movement has brought to the space. This has brought to the space. And I think it's those investors that are driving the banks crazy. I don't own a 1,000 ounce bar. I just don't. I don't know what I'd do with a 1,000 ounce bar. It's just like you use it as a doorstop or something. I don't know. It's not a very convenient way of owning metal, in my view. It's. I like small quantity. I like 1 ounce, 5 ounce, 10 ounce. I own a couple of kilos. Actually, probably more than a couple of kilos. But that's about as big as I would go myself, because at the end of the day, if you want to use this stuff for whatever purpose, you want to sell it, you want to use it for barter, you want to trade it for something else. Small quantities, I personally think that's the way to go. And this whole stacking movement is pretty exciting. I'm watching it on Reddit and Twitter, and there's a lot of people out there that are really getting serious about stacking silver, and starting to circulate their stacks on the internet. And it's pretty nice to see. A lot of guys are buying 1,000 ounces at a time, in the form of 1 ounce and 5 ounce ingots and coins. Well, that has been happening. If you look at, we're a member of the Silver Institute, and peak silver was 2015. And if I remember the numbers exactly, I think it was 880 million ounces of silver produced that year. And it's gone down every single year since then. The 2020 numbers still aren't out. I've seen some preliminary numbers, of around 800 million, but I've actually seen numbers that were closer to 750 million ounces. So we've had now 4 or 5 consecutive years of mining companies producing less silver, and the consumption is, even if you said the consumption was flat, which I don't buy, with electric cars and all the different gadgets we're producing these days, solar panels and the like. These all require vast amounts of silver. So I think silver demand has been increasing while supply has been dropping. But again, this goes back to the paper market. The paper markets run by the big traders, the big banks. They don't get it, because I actually don't even think they watch the supply demand fundamentals of the metal itself. I think all they do is stare at a computer screen all day. I don't know if it's actually intentionally suppressed. I think it's just managing a book. I was a trader for 6 years for 3 banks in Canada, so I know banks don't like to take on big positions. They're risk adverse. Their clients are welcome to do what they wish, but the bank itself is not going to be taking any kind of one side of any particular trade for any length of time. So, some of this chatter out there that you see about, JP Morgan owning this or this bank shorting that, I don't really, I read it, but I don't really buy it. I think these banks are just acting for clients who are in the market. They need this physical metal for whatever they need it for. And there's a sell side to that equation where there's, people that are hedge funds or, whatever the case may be, that are willing to take the short side of that trade and expecting to deliver into that buyer, over whatever length of time they've agreed to buy. And it's all just based on, they look at 20-year, 30-year charts and see what silver has done over that period of time. And it's just, then they build algorithms, and then they just trade the market, and they're just trying to make money. They're not fighting silver, I don't think. They're not fighting copper prices. They're not fighting oil prices. They're just simply people, hedge funds, commercial people out there. They're just trying to make money, and that's what it comes down to. But I think there's a disconnect between actually what the supply and demand fundamentals of the underlying commodity is that they're trading. So I think their systems of trading are incorrect based on old fundamentals, and they haven't caught up to this new paradigm whereby silver has become the strategic metal. Because you go back into the 80s and silver was used for basically photography, which was dying, and the coinage had died. It was going back to the 60s, it was used in coins, so that all died. So in the 80s, we had this enormous amount of above ground supply of silver, something in the order of 5 billion ounces. And it's taken a good 30 years, for that silver to be consumed by industry in a variety of different forms. And now it's getting to a point where it's critical, but Bay Street and Wall Street have not woken up to that fact yet. Off air, we just had a bit of a quick chat about this, but no, I'm not up on that at all. Our products that we sell on First Majestic website are guaranteed to be 3 nines, and that's what we've always done. We know by doing periodic assays of our product that it's generally 395, 397, 393, and that's as long as it doesn't drop below 3 nines, we're good, and it never does. It's always the refineries are very good at this stuff. I don't know if you really need 4-9 silver. I know it's used in very special circumstances, but from a investment perspective, I think 3-9 plus is really all you need. I've got friends in the industry, and you've made me quite curious, and I'm going to look into this a little bit to find out the answer to that question. But there is 5-9 silver available, but it's used in very, very unique circumstances. You wouldn't just go buy that at your regular store. It's used in medical equipment and so on. 4-9s, I'd have to check my collection of ounces to see if any of them are actually stamped with 4-9s. I think I might actually do that just out of curiosity, but I've never so much worried about it. I've always looked at 999s as really kind of the standard. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting direction our planet is moving, and I'm not particularly optimistic short term. I think we have, unfortunately, a lot of people my age, I'm in my 60s and older into their 70s, that are kind of, they have a vision of the planet, and some have actually gone as far as to clearly state that there's too many people on the planet, that we need to reduce the population of the human race, which is a pretty scary thought, right? And and how they're going to accomplish that,